Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bethalkis, and this is Mr. Robot, Season 4, Episode 1, Unauthorized. And this is the final season of Mr. Robot. So before I get started here, let me take care of a little bit of business first. If you hit the subscribe button, if you like what you see here, I should say, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe, as we say here. If you don't like what you see, you can hit the dislike button. I just ask you to go down in the comment section down below. Tell me what it is you don't like. Give me a little constructive criticism, some feedback, if you will. Also, excuse me, you can see what my schedule is up on suspendedfanimation.com. It's also up on my Facebook page as well. You can also hit the little bell down here too. That will tell you when I'm on again next. That's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you about that, but that's what that's all about. Also, I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram account, and I also have a Patreon page, which won't have anything up there until the end of the year when I get some stuff going there. So there we go. So let's get started here. Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch the episode. Come on back. This will be a video you can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. So, my God. This was shown without any commercial interruptions. They did the entire thing without commercials, which I was very shocked that they were going to do that. There's actually quite a few shocking things that happened in this, and holy crap, that's all I can say. So we start off with Angela and Philip Price. We now know that Philip Price is her father, and they're out on his property. They're out on this huge lawn. He's got a mansion that overlooks like several thousand acres, I guess you could say, out there. And she's basically telling Philip that she wants retribution against White Rose for using her the way that White Rose did, and she basically wants to take White Rose's project from her. And as she says, she goes, she knows it's real. She's seen proof of it. Again, this is talking about the time machine, or we don't know exactly what it is, if it's alternate dimensions, what it is, but we know that it's something that has to do with either time travel or alternate dimensions. And we know this because also of Mr. Robot being there as well. So, yeah, and Philip tells her that, she needs to stop that kind of talk. She needs to change her mind about it. And he tells her, I've been trying to protect you all this time. He goes, you're the reason. Oh, I'm trying to protect you from getting killed. And she's like, I don't care about that anymore. She goes, I want to hurt her. I want retribution. And he goes, I can't save you then if that's the way you're going to talk. And she stands up and turns around towards the mansion, and she realizes that she's fucked now at this point. And she says, you know what, just leave, go now, and don't come back, kind of thing, is what she tells him. And as he is walking away, we see two Dark Army guys walk past him on the lawn, and he's opening up his shirt and pulling out the wire. Philip is pulling the wire out of his chest there because White Rose has been listening in on all of this. And we see the two Dark Army agents walk right up to her. She's still sitting on the bench. One shoots her in the head, and when her body goes down, the other one just shoots two more bullets into her body. And just like that, Angela is dead. Yeah, that's in the first fucking like 2 minutes of the show. I was like, holy fuck, what the hell? They kill off a major character, oh, what the hell. So Philip ends up going into his study and just is pissed off and sweeps everything off the desk onto the floor, and his phone starts ringing, and of course it's White Rose. And White Rose telling him that she made her choice and it wasn't his fault. He tried talking her out of it, but she just wouldn't, listen to him. And he basically calls White Rose psychotic. And she goes, oh, we're not mincing words this time, huh? Because they'd always play this game, Philip and her, where she said, you always use interesting words, where you never say what you mean. And Now he's just full on pissed at her. And White Rose says, "That's fine. You can blame me for everything. I'm okay with that. Everything is still going to go as planned." And she hangs up on him. And then we see that White Rose is being informed that the shipment is coming in from Mr. Alderson just in time for Christmas. And White Rose's aide also says, Mr. Alderson should be kept on a short leash. First, she says that, he probably should be eliminated. And then she goes, well, maybe he should be kept on a short leash. And White Rose says, you know what? Sure, why not? We can authorize that. We'll teach him a lesson, kind of thing. And has that happening? She goes, well, Merry Christmas, Mr. Anderson. This will be your last Christmas. I hope you enjoy it. And we see from where White Rose is standing, we zoom across the ocean and we see New York City. And New York City, of course, is getting ready for Christmas. And of course, again, this is circa Christmas 2015. We know it's 2015 at this point. So we got this guy, Freddie, who is at a law firm Christmas party, and he's just drunk as hell, and he gets a package from his assistant. And in this package, he opens it up and he sees a drive that's inside of it. And he says, "Oh, excuse me." And he leaves really quickly and goes into another room, into an office. And we see him talking dirty online to an underage girl. And essentially, he's masturbating to it, too, is what's going on. And that's when he gets a phone call. And we hear it's Mr. Robot. And Mr. Robot tells him, to basically stop, all this online talking to underage girls gets boring when you start watching it on video. And he goes, "Did you get the package that I sent you?" He goes, "I'm going to send all these videos to the FBI if you don't do what I tell you to do." And essentially what he wants Freddie to do is take the USB package out, or USB out, and download all of his emails onto this USB drive, leave all of his electronics there, and then come meet him at Grand Central Station, with the USB drive. Otherwise, he's going to send everything to the FBI. And Freddie is fucking freaked out at this point. So he gets into a cab. And as he's getting into the cab, we see the news is playing in the back of one of those monitors in the back of the cab. And we see that Elliot's 5-9 reversal has actually worked. And 5-9 has been reversed. The economy's back. Everything's thriving again. But and people are kind of going back to societal norms. The way it, because before this, everything was in shambles. I mean, there was no economy. E-Corp had actually created E-Coin in order to kind of stem off some of that economy as well, the collapse of the economy. And yeah, it's now been stabilized. So Freddie gets to Grand Central, and he's instructed again by Mr. Robot. He still has Mr. Robot's cell phone. Excuse me. To go in and get in line at the very last kiosk. And he's informed that he's been followed. And Freddie's like, holy shit. And he goes, don't worry, I'll take care of him. And we see it's 2 guys from the Dark Army. Elliot, so basically he tells him to buy a ticket, which he does, and to take the long way going to the train. And as he's going there, he says, take all the money in your wallet, ball it up into a ball, and throw it in the musician's case. And he goes, why? What do you want me to do? He goes, trust me, just do it. So they do it. And ends up happening that the Dark Army guys stop and they start rifling through this musician's case. And he makes it to the train. And Elliot is waiting for him there. Elliot's been watching this all this time on all the cameras. And that's how he's been following him. And he tells him to sit down. And Freddie pulls out a gun and goes, nope, I'm not going to do it. He goes, what, you're going to kill me here in front of everybody? He goes, if you kill me, then what's going to happen is that video is going to auto-release to the FBI, your wife, and your kids. Everyone's going to find it. And sure enough, he sits down and goes, give me the USB drive, and he takes it, plugs it in. He starts going through all his emails and finding out that essentially that Freddie was working for White Rose. and he was laundering a lot of White Rose's money. And he finds out that Cyprus National Bank is where White Rose has been keeping all this money. And so he knows where the heart of White Rose's money laundering stuff is at this point. So, Freddie tells him he might have a contact in the city here, and it's John Garson. But he doesn't have the address on him. The address is back at the office. And Elliot's like, he sees on the monitors that the Dark Army is coming. The two Dark Army guys are coming down to the train. And he tells Freddie, he goes, I thought I told you to leave all your electronics at the office. He goes, I did. And then he notices that Freddie still has his key card on him, which has a Bluetooth transmitter on him. So he pulls that off and he goes, okay, go to this station. I'll call you. We can't be seen together. Otherwise, the Dark Army is going to kill us. And he informs Freddie that, the Dark Army is who's after him. And Freddie, of course, is pissing his pants. Actually, Freddie is shitting his pants at this point. So, yeah, he ends up going out, to the station, like Elliot told him to. And Elliot calls him again. And, Elliot tells him, you know what? I can take care of you. Just, we need to get that address. And Freddie's like, how in the hell can you protect me from the Dark Army? And Elliot goes silent. He goes, you can't, can you? You don't care about me. I'm just fucking bait. You don't give a shit at all. And he goes, nope. He goes, just don't show the video to my wife and kids, is what he says. And Freddie pulls out the gun and caps himself on the street right there in front of everybody. And so, yeah, Elliot has lost another lead. Wellick, in the meantime, who is now being seen as a savior for 5-9 and E Corp, he's gotten the CEO position. Basically, he's taken over Philip Price's position at this point. He's a prisoner, essentially, in a gilded cage. He's being told what his itinerary is for the busy day ahead of him, and he asks if he can get it pushed back to the next day, and the assistant's like, no, the next day is just as pretty much, booked, not going to happen. And he just realizes what kind of prison he's actually in. So Dee Pereira, in the meantime, wakes up, and she's paranoid as all hell because of what happened out at the farm. And she's looking at her windows and sees a car that she doesn't recognize with the license plate. And she calls outside to her mom, doesn't get an answer. So she grabs the gun from underneath the cushion, goes outside, and goes into the house and starts looking through the house with the gun, goes into her mom's room, and basically trains her gun on a contractor. And her mom comes in, and she hides the gun behind the picture. And the contractor's got his hands up, basically shitting himself at this point. And her mom goes, and she goes, who is this guy? She goes, he's the contractor. Remember I told you about him last week, that he was going to come by, redo the bathroom and all that stuff. She goes, well, I thought we were going to vet anybody that you hired. It comes through me. She goes, don't be silly, kind of thing. And yeah. So essentially she almost killed the contractor because her mom, her mom doesn't see the gun at all, of course. And so she grabs the gun and leaves. Elliot and Mr. Robot, in the meantime, we see them working together. They're actually talking to each other now at this point. And they're in an abandoned office space, and they've made a little web up on the wall, and they've found Garson's address. And they say they need to move faster, a lot faster than what they did with Freddie. They can't just break him, by blackmailing him and all that kind of stuff. They need to move a lot faster than this. And so they're going to go and see him, is what they're going to do. And Mr. Robot tells Elliot, don't do this for the wrong reason. And Elliot's like, we found their heart. It's Cyprus National Bank, and we should just take it, is what he says. And, especially for what they did. And Mr. Robot's going, well, you're being a little too emotional about this. I think you're doing this because of what they did to Angela. And Elliot tells him, you know what? People are just starting to forget about 5-9 now at this point. And they need to remember it. He goes, they're all tired of it. I'm tired too. And we need to, get this over with as soon as possible. And that's when Darlene calls him about Angela, that she has some information about Angela. So he ends up meeting Darlene in his apartment. And Darlene says that she saw Angela out in the street. She had seen Angela before, walking around in a white bathrobe with a red cart. Now, Darlene, if you remember correctly from last season, Mr. Robot, who is supposedly in another universe, doesn't have a Darlene. So Darlene might actually be somebody who has jumped dimensions or jumped universes and is able to see different people in different universes. We don't know for sure. Maybe that's what all the drug use is about. I have no idea. That's what's kind of interesting about this show and what kind of has made this a little bit of a sci-fi thing as well. So she's basically telling Elliot that she's seen Angela alive out in the street again, but she lost her again. And he's like, she's dead. Okay, how much coke have you done? Basically, what kind of drugs are you on? Is what she says at this point. She goes, fuck you. You never believe me when I say, anything. And I'm telling you the truth this time. And Elliot basically kind of just blows up at her and says, you know what? She's dead. Okay. It's not our fault. We tried to help her. She wouldn't listen to us. She's dead. And basically, she's like, fuck you. You never listen to me. And she leaves. And that's when Mr. Robot basically tells him, maybe we should just show her the picture that White Rose sent us. And Elliot's like, no, she doesn't need to see Angela's head, burst open on this. And he's actually kind of cold, Mr. Robot, about this. He doesn't really care about Darlene at all. He really doesn't care about Elliot either for the most part because of what's happening, but he's a means to an end. So, yeah, and as they are kind of going off, to an E-Corp building, Mr. Robot starts talking to us and says, you know what? I never really talked directly to you, but now's the time because Elliot's not telling me things and he's not talking to me. And I think we should talk. And he says, because when this is all said and done, he's going to need a friend. You still are our friend, right? Is what he says. And I thought that was kind of interesting that we end up getting Mr. Robot talking to us because we are supposedly the third personality inside Elliot's head, or the how should we say, the fourth personality actually, because there is his mom, Mr. Robot, his younger self, and then there's us that are looking at this. So yeah. So Elliot comes to an E-Corp building and to deliver a package to John Garson, and he's let in and goes up the elevator. And when he knocks on the door just kind of pushes open, and they go inside, shut the door, and as they're looking around, Elliot wants to search the place, and Mr. Robot's like, "No, we just need to own his Wi-Fi. That's it." So Elliot's like, "No, let's split up and search." So they start searching, and Elliot notices there's a thick layer of dust on the table. Um, everything looked really weird, like it's not lived in the apartment. And Mr. Robot goes back to the door and he tries and he goes, "Did you lock the door?" He says, "No." And then Elliot looks at his phone and goes, "There's no Wi-Fi signal. They're jamming us." And they look at the window. The windows are jammed shut. They're screwed at this point. So they just realized that Garson, um, they've been set up by Freddie. There is no Garson. It was actually a code, and the place is a honeypot to basically trap people that are looking for White Rose's stuff. So we see two guys, as Don't Worry, Get Happy is playing. We see two guys come into the lobby, go upstairs, and we see on the video monitor that they pull Elliot out of the room, kicking and screaming, down the elevator, out into the lobby and outside. DePiero, in the meantime, is at dinner with her mom and someone named Janice, and her mom keeps making a lot of lesbian asides because, of course, DePiero is a lesbian and all this stuff. And she says, "Why don't you help Janice take the leftovers out to her car?" Um, she's like, "Mom, it's just mac and cheese. There's no leftovers." So she does. She goes out there, and Janice has a dead tiger in the front seat, or pieces of a dead tiger. She goes, "Oh, sorry, it scares people." She goes, "I'm a taxidermist." And De Piero says, sorry, I think my mom was trying to set us up. I'm on a timeout right now. I'm not into that. And Janice is like, oh, she got the wrong impression. It happens sometimes. Yeah. And she goes, your mom's been talking to me about what's been going on with you, that you've been working long hours, that, then in the drinking. She goes, I get it. Uh, she goes, maybe you should go and get a, good night's sleep for when you go into work tomorrow. And she goes, because you don't want to miss that interview. She says, yeah, you don't want to miss the Santiago interview for the case there. And De Piero turns around and goes, what? She goes, yeah, you've been putting it off for a long time. She goes, you need to go and do it. And you need to go in tomorrow and do it. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come back and visit your mom and cut her from mouth to cunt, is what she says. And De Piero gets in her face and says, if you come anywhere near my mom, I'll strangle you with my own hands. And Janice is like, that's great. Strangle me all you want. It's not going to stop the other guys. And she looks down the street, and we see two white vans parked on opposite sides of the street further down. And De Piero is just shitting herself at this point. And she goes, yep. Oh, and Janice says, oh, by the way, tell your mom thanks for the mac and cheese. And leaves. Yeah. So we see Darlene doing coke at a party. And then she asks her friend for some harder stuff than coke. And then starts freaking out and kicks everybody out of her place. And then picks up these, I think they're barrettes. I couldn't really see what it was on the ground. Lays in bed and just starts crying her eyes out. Yeah. Elliot, in the meantime, is being held down at his apartment, and they're cooking ballet shoes. Thank you, Penn. I couldn't tell what the hell they were. It was really dark, and I'm watching on a small little screen, and I couldn't tell what the hell it was. So Elliot's being held by two guys in a chair while a third guy is cooking up some heroin, and they're basically going to give him an OD. And Elliot is screaming at him, goes, don't do this. He goes, she's listening, isn't she? What am I talking about? She's always listening. She goes, if she does this, my other plan is going to go into place. My shipping hack will go through. And if I die, she goes, I know about Cyprus National Bank. And he goes, I know about all the money that's being kept there. I'm siphoning all the money out if I die. He goes, my rage will live past my death, is what he says. And the guy comes over to him and says, goodbye, friend. Injects him and then pushes the entire plunger of heroin into his system. Yeah. And we see they leave Elliot to die, and he kicks off there and is trying to get to the phone. He's, trying to get to the phone to basically call 911. And we have, he starts flashing through his life as the phone is off its cradle. It's one of those old kind of phones, and it's making the beep, 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 beep sound kind of thing. And he's flashing through his life, and then he stops breathing. And all we're left with is the beeping of the phone, and we fade to black. And then we fade back out of black, and he's laying there. We hear a breaking of some glass, and someone stuffs a little thing up his nose and squirts some shit up his nose. And Elliot comes back to life. And we see it's Philip Price and his goons that are there. And Philip Price welcomes him back to the land of the living. And that's where we leave off on the episode. And I was like, holy shit. I mean, yeah, we had a couple of different cameos in this episode too. I mean, Gary Busey in this one playing Freddie. I mean, God damn. And we also got a little preview of Briar Patch, which is another Sam Esmail show that's coming in 2020 on USA Network, which I'm like, okay, I'm in. I was looking at that preview and I'm like, shit, that's gonna be another show for me. And yeah, I mean, that was fucking awesome. Oh my god. Let me see what you guys are talking about, because no commercials may have been the least shocking. Yeah, no commercials was the least shocking thing, Penn. I agree with you. Oh my god. Yeah, Carlos Oz. Yeah, holy shit, what? I agree with you, man. And thank you for liking the mask back here, because that is at the very last episode of this season. I am going to raffle that thing off to one lucky person in the United States, as long as you live within the continental United States, because international shipping rates are a pain in the ass and really expensive. So, man. Geocosmic says, not sure why, but the episode was out early for DirecTV AT&T subscribers. Yeah, Geo, they've been doing some really stupid stuff like that. I think they're trying to piss off whoever the distributor is that they're working with. They've been really contentious about whatever deal they've got going on. So I'm not surprised that they did shit like that. So let's see. His garbage. Yeah, exactly, Penn. When 5/9 had happened, there was garbage all over the place. People were, there was no fucking money for everybody. That was the whole thing. Everyone had all their finances wiped out. So everything had collapsed. And yes, she is not the world's quietest dog. She just has nothing to bark at right now. That's why she doesn't bark at every little thing. Just when the doorbell rings, excuse me, or when what was the drug they injected into him? Heroin. Oh, sorrow. So he was a heroin user, and that was his drug of choice. We had learned this back in season 1, I remember correctly. And so they were going to make it look like he just, OD'd. That's what they were doing. Oh, that was Angela's. Okay, that was Angela's apartment that they were in. Got it, Penn. Now it finally makes sense that they were in Angela's apartment, that they were raiding everything. Because, yeah, that's what, yeah. Got it. Yeah, that's what Darlene does. Darlene goes into places and squats in them, and then basically takes over, raids everything, leaves it, and all fucked up as it is. So yeah, I mean, shit, man. We kill off Angela, making Philip Price now a member of Team Mr. Robot, because it pissed him off. Now we don't know what White Rose's end game is on this. We haven't known what White Rose's end game is on this, and yeah, I mean, De Piero, where she's at, because right now she's supposedly working for the Dark Army. She's being forced to work for the Dark Army. If she's going to get involved in this or not as well and start working with Mr. Robot, which I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen. And this last season is supposed to be the taking place all over Christmas, is what it is. It's supposed to be the 2 weeks prior to Christmas and then into Christmas, is what it is. So yeah, and I can't remember how many episodes they said. I can tell you in just a second, because you know what, I have that stuff up, and and we have 13 episodes. Good God, good. I'm glad there's 13 episodes. So, similar like Isaac from Heroes, had to get high to paint. Yeah, the future. Yeah. And so one thing I forgot to mention too. So as Elliot is ODing, and before he actually starts having his life flash before his eyes, his mom, his dad, and his younger self are sitting there in the kitchen, and the younger self asks, "What's going to happen now?" And the mom, being the bitch that she is, pretty much just sitting there smoking, goes, "Well, I guess we're just going to fade off into existence," kind of thing. And yeah, so those are his 3 other personalities that are within him, as well as himself. And then, of course, Mr. Robot is coming in and working with him from another universe, supposedly. Or it could just all be in his head. We don't know. But that's what Mr. Robot was saying, that yes, that in his universe, Elliot is dead. And that's what he was trying to help out. And there is no Darlene in the other universe. So yeah, that's why I'm saying it's a sci-fi show. It always has been a sci-fi show. We just didn't know it. And that's what's so great about the show. Yeah, if you haven't seen the show, if you haven't watched it, I don't know why you're watching my recap and review of this, especially for the last season of season 4. Go back and watch this thing, man. I mean, it is good. It is some good writing, it is good acting, it's good cinematography, it's good sound, it's good everything. It really is. It's up there, and like I say, my top 10, top 5. It's up there. It really is. So yeah, we're gonna yeah, and the nice thing I like about this show too is it's not predictable. You don't know what the fuck's gonna happen. I mean, I was not expecting Angela to go out in the first 2 minutes of the show. You know, Mr. Roboto, can you frame that in the form of a sentence, please? I don't know what you just said, so you need to. Yeah, the one time you missed the opening pen, it was really good pen. I mean, it was I wasn't expecting that at all. I wasn't until she stood up and turned towards the mansion and looked and realized that she was fucked. And because especially since he was, Philip kept telling her, he goes, "You shouldn't talk like that. You need to change your mind. You need to get on board. I can't protect you otherwise." And then she turns and looks towards the mansion and realizes that she's dead at that point. And yeah, I was like, man, oh, like Scorpius and John Crichton. Yeah, I didn't watch Farscape. Sorry, Joker. uh, oh, you're the main man of this YouTube channel. That's why people come. Okay, got it. Thank you, Mr. Roboto. Tune in right where Right Rose said sorry for your loss, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh yeah, you missed a lot then. Yeah, that whole thing set up what Philip Price's motivation is, and then also Angela being gone, and what's going to set this whole season in motion of what's going to happen, and Elliot's new allies now. Because now you got Philip Price, who has a lot of knowledge of what White Rose was doing. Not everything that she was doing, but a good majority of it. He doesn't even know what the final end game is supposed to be, because White Rose kept that from him. That's how White Rose is. And I'm glad we got BD Wong back again for the final season. And his assistant, by the way, I don't know if everyone recognized the assistant. She was from Travelers, from the Netflix series that just ended. She was one of the engineers that came in around, I think, season 2. I was looking at her. I'm like, I remember her from someplace. Where have I seen her? And then she was talking a little more. I'm like, oh yeah, the engineer. And yes, BD Wong does play. I mean, BD Wong is awesome in pretty much everything he does. So I'm happy with seeing him again. But wow. Yeah, I'm still kind of in shock about this. I might need to watch it again just to see it. This series is like the only one I might have you have to watch more than once or more than twice. Okay. Yeah, I have to watch this again just because holy crap. You know. So Mr. Roboto, this show is ending because Rami Malek won an Oscar and is going off to higher places. Sam Esmail has way too much shit on his plate right now. He's working on he was working on Homecoming on Amazon. He already did season 1. He's working on season 2. He's also got this other thing that's happening, Briar Patch, on USA Network. And I think he's got a movie in the works too, is what he said. So yeah, he is just busy. Yeah, and I hope we get a lot more Christian Slater, quite honestly. Christian Slater in this has been just phenomenal. I mean, This is probably his best work ever. And that's what's, pretty cool about it. Like I said, he took a long time trying to find something that was going to work for him. Osaro says, Homecoming, the podcast was a bit better than the Amazon show. I like the Amazon show, and not having heard the podcast, I was okay with what I saw. Yeah. Comet is interesting movie directed by. Oh, really? Okay. I've never heard of that one. It's not Comet, the reindeer, right? Santa's reindeer. It's something else. Yeah, Homecoming's interesting. It really is, and it's got Bobby Cannavale in it, and Bobby Cannavale in that one is really damn good. He's been good in pretty much everything he's been doing since he started up with Sam Esmail, and I don't know if that just kind of kicked him, acting wise, in the rear somehow, because I've seen him in other stuff and he just kind of blended in, whereas now he is showing up like big time. Like he was in the latest Jumanji movie, Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. He was the bad guy in it, and he kind of blended in to that one. I didn't really realize that was him, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. So it's on Amazon Video, not Prime, a couple of years ago. Okay. So yeah, some really good stuff. Let's see. So if you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, like, share, and subscribe. Tomorrow I'm off. Tuesday is going to be Is It Worth My Time? And I believe I'm going to do Raising Dion. I was going to do Primal, but I believe I'm going to do Raising Dion is what's going to happen there, because I'm almost done with Raising Dion, and I'm not going to cover it as, episode. I didn't realize it's an episodic thing. I thought it was a movie, but it's actually episodes. And yeah, I'm halfway through. So Wednesday I'm off. Thursday is going to be Feelings in Hallways. That's where I talk about the the DC CW shows that are on. So tonight we have Batwoman, Superman, or Supergirl, excuse me, Batwoman, Supergirl. Tomorrow is Flash and Arrow, if I remember correctly, or I think Flash and Black Lightning, and then Arrow, I believe, is on Tuesday. So I can watch all of those and get them out of the way and talk to you guys about that on Thursday. Friday will be Titans, of course. Saturday, of course, is Saturday Morning Blast Off. And of course, we roll back around to Sundays to Mr. Robot. And quite honestly, if it is this good, it's going to preempt Watchmen. It really will preempt Watchmen on my reviewing capability, shall I say. Yeah. All right. See you, Mr. Roboto. I'm going to be out here too in just a couple of minutes. Again, if you're still on the fence about joining up, you're going to see a video pop up here. It's actually YouTube has an algorithm. They know everything you've been watching and all the naughty stuff too. And what they do is they take that algorithm, all the stuff you've been watching, and match it to one of the videos in my vast video library and pop it up there for you. So if you like what you see there, then hit the subscribe button down here. Excuse me. And up here is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off. That's what's going to pop up there for you. That way you can make your choice whether or not to subscribe. And, I like it if you do subscribe. Come on in, come into the chat. The chat's really friendly. And, it's good stuff, especially on Saturdays. Saturdays is a lot of fun. With that said, thank you, everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. And I will see you on Tuesday for Is It Worth My Time? Raising Dion. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may find the Dark Army might be tailing you because, You didn't leave all your electronics at home like you were told to, and that's a bad thing.